Hello everyone and Happy New Year! I hope you all had some amazing fun New Year celebrations last night. I'm currently running on slightly less sleep than I'm used to, so I am quite tired, but I am just going to push on through with my December wrap up. So December was quite a good reading month for me. I managed to finish 8 books. I gave 3 of them 3 stars, 4 of them 4 stars and 1 of them 5 stars. So I'm going to start with the books that I gave 3 stars to. The first one being The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is of course the third and final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so of course I'm not going to talk too much about what happened because it is the third book in a trilogy. The reason I gave it 3 stars is because it's not that I didn't enjoy it, but it was a bit of a chore to get through because the writing is quite dense, the language is quite archaic and not really archaic in a way that I'm used to. I read the first 2 books last month and I gave both of those 4 stars because I did enjoy reading them a little bit more. Return of the King is just very battle heavy and it's very action packed, but I felt that the transitions between like the actions and the events weren't really done that well. It was more like, so this happened and then they went to this place and then this happened and then this person turns up, and it was just, I didn't really feel that the transitions were done in a really great way. It was just like one event after the other. So I think that's probably why I had to give it less than the first 2 books, but I did really enjoy it and I really got into it in the second half. I really got excited about the impending end and the explosive climax there. I thought that was done really well, and it was quite emotional towards the end when they were all like saying their goodbyes and stuff like that. So I did really enjoy it and I am really happy that I have finally read the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I think for me and in terms of my preferences, I think they do probably work better as films. But yeah, I am really happy that I have finally read this epic classic fantasy trilogy, so yeah. The next book that I gave 3 stars to is A Shiver of Snow and Sky by Lisa Lueddecke, and this is a YA fantasy kind of thing about a world where when red lights shine in the sky it means that danger is coming, and when our main character was born there were red lights in the sky and it brought on a plague that wiped out a lot of their people, and now 17 years later there are red lights in the sky again, and she takes it upon herself to go on a journey into the mountains to try and talk to their goddess who they believe is in control of the lights and therefore in control of what actually happens when the red lights shine. I did enjoy it. I thought the romance was quite predictable. I really enjoyed, my favourite thing about this book actually was the Scandinavian landscape and the backdrop that it was set against, because I love Scandinavia and Scandinavian culture and I really enjoyed that whole aspect of it. I wasn't a massive fan of the main character. She is one of those kind of typical irresistibly beautiful girls that apparently doesn't know that they're irresistibly beautiful, so if you don't like that trope, I guarantee you probably won't like our main character. And as I said, the romance was a little bit predictable as well, but I did enjoy it for the most part. I did get through it quite quickly. I was quite intrigued by the magic system as well, so yeah, I gave it 3 stars. The next book that I gave 3 stars to is actually an arc of a book that comes out very soon on the 4th of January, and that is Mike by Andrew Norris, and I did write a full review of this on my blog, so I will leave a link to that review in the description down below. This is essentially about a young boy who is going to be a tennis champion. He's very good young tennis player and he has all of the prospects of becoming a champion, but he then starts to see another young boy called Mike who apparently nobody else can see, so his parents take him to a psychologist, and basically it's just about him discovering exactly what or who Mike is and why he keeps seeing him and things like that. I did really like it for the kind of allegorical moral messages that this book holds, but I think I probably did want Mike to be something that he turned out not being, if you know what I mean. But I would really recommend it. I did get through it pretty fast. It's not very long. It's only like I don't know, a couple of 100 pages or something, and I did get through it quite fast because I obviously wanted to know what Mike exactly was. So I wasn't entirely satisfied by the conclusion. I think I wanted him to be something else, but yeah, I would definitely recommend it and obviously give my review a read if you are more interested. Now onto the books that I gave 4 stars to this month. So the first one that I gave 4 stars to is A Skinful of Shadows by Hardinge. This is a historical fantasy set in the 1600s during the English Civil War about a young girl who becomes possessed by the spirit of a bear. And when her mother dies, she is sent to live with her father's family, where she uncovers secrets about them and her special abilities. And it was so dark, it was so magical, it was so unique, and I really enjoyed it. I just got really attached to all the facets of her personality. I was with her the entire way, and I actually learned quite a lot about a period of history that I've not read all that much about, which was really interesting too. I don't know that much about the English Civil War period, so I really enjoyed that whole aspect of it too. And it was just a really lovely, cozy, wintry, magical read that I would definitely recommend reading while it's still cold, because it just has that kind of feeling about it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, definitely pick it up. It is a beautiful cover too, so I may well actually get a physical edition for my shelves. So yeah. The next book that I gave 4 stars to is Dying for Christmas by Tammy Cohen, and this is a Christmas psychological thriller that blew my mind this month. So at the start of this book, we meet a woman who is shopping. She's doing her Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve, and she stops for a cup of coffee in a cafe within a department store, and a man who she apparently doesn't know comes over, sits at the table, invites her back to his house, and she seems to willingly go with him. And at the start you're like, why is she doing this? That's a terrible decision. And he then proceeds to keep her prisoner in his flat, seemingly for the entire 12 days of Christmas, so from Christmas Eve on into the 6th of January. And he treats her terribly, he tortures her, he makes her do things that she doesn't want to do, and it's really scary for the first half of the book. But also we learn a lot about him as a person, because he gives her a present every single day for these 12 days, and they all have something relating to his past, and we learn a lot about his previous wives, we learn a lot about his childhood, we learn a lot about him as a person. And then halfway through the book, the story changes completely, and suddenly you realise that what you think has happened in the first half probably isn't actually what happened in the second half. But then at the end there are still more twists unveiling, and I just couldn't stop reading this book. It was so exciting. I just wanted to know exactly what was going on. And it was just so good. I never read a thriller exactly like this before. I know on the cover it says Misery meets Gone Girl. I would say it's definitely probably more Gone Girl than Misery. But I do definitely see the aspects of both of those stories in this book too. But I would definitely recommend this if you are a fan of psychological thrillers looking for a Christmas book, obviously for next year now. But it was so good. Like, the twists kept coming and I just didn't see them coming at all. So yeah, really recommend this. The next one that I gave 4 stars to is another upcoming book. This comes out very soon too. I think it comes out on the 4th of January too, and that is The Fandom by Anna Day. And I've heard a lot of people talking about this. This is about a group of people at a Comic-Con. They're a group of friends and they are in the queue waiting to meet the actor of the film adaptation of their favourite YA dystopian novel. And when they get to meet him, something happens and suddenly they find themselves in the world of this dystopian novel. And quite early on, the main heroine in the story dies when she's not supposed to, so it's up to this group of friends to get the story back on track and then ultimately, hopefully, find their way back home. It was so crazy. It was a very unique concept, and I really enjoyed seeing how fans of a dystopian world would react and cope with actually suddenly finding themselves in this world. I did find the main romance between our main character and her love interest quite predictable, and I did kind of know exactly what was really going on quite early on as well, but there were still a lot of little twists in there that I didn't see coming. I did write a full review of this on my blog as well, so maybe give that a read if you are more interested. But it was a really unique read, so I would definitely recommend it if it sounds like your kind of thing. And the last book that I gave 4 stars to this month is Ghosts of Christmas Past, and this is a collection of Christmas ghost stories from a variety of authors. We have stories from Neil Gaiman, Robert Aikman, Jerome K. Jerome, Kelly Link, Bernard Capes, L.P. Hartley, E.F. Benson, Muriel Spark, Frank Cowper, Louis de Bernier, E. Nesbitt, M.R. James and Jen Ashworth. And I really enjoyed the majority of these stories. They're not like terrifyingly scary or anything like that. They're more just sort of like hints that something is a little bit amiss, that something is a little bit uneasy, and that's one reason why I love ghost stories, because they're not overtly scary, but they are still a little bit weird and a little bit eerie, and that's my favourite kind of supernatural tale. So I really enjoyed the majority of these, and it was just a really lovely little thing to cozy up with on a couple of cold winter nights. And yeah, I would definitely recommend picking this up next Christmas if you are looking for little bursts of spooky Christmas goodness. So yeah, definitely check this collection out. And the last book for this wrap up is a book that I gave 5 stars to, and I absolutely loved it, and that is Father Christmas and Me by Matt Haig. I've read all 3 of his children's Christmas books now, and I really love them, and they always have these beautiful illustrations in them too. So you can see one there, that's with obviously Father Christmas and Mrs. Christmas, and all of the elves dancing there. So this is the story of a young girl who is lucky enough to be adopted by Father Christmas and his wife, and she goes to elf school and all of this kind of thing, but she's not really all that good at the elf lessons, obviously, because she's a human, and there's an evil elf in the town who is trying to spread lies and rumours about her and trying to get people to believe, or the elves to believe, that she as a human shouldn't be mixing with elves and that she's bad and that she will taint them in some way. And he's recruited the Easter Bunny to help him get the elves to believe that she's evil, and she has to obviously try and make them believe that she is good and that she can be a valued member of the elf society. And it was just so cute, it was so magical. I loved being able to pick out all of the political references. You can see so many parallels between the situation and certain politicians and people in our world. You can see the parallels in them in here, which I really enjoyed, and they were really funny to notice. So yeah, I would definitely recommend picking this up next Christmas. I would definitely recommend picking up all of Matt Haig's Christmas books, because they are just so cute and so funny and so festive. So yeah, really enjoyed this book this month too. And that is it for my December wrap up. What books did you read this month? Please let me know. I will be posting my January TBR on Wednesday, so please look out for that. I will leave all of my social media in the description down below. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye bye.